That's right, boys and girls. I am going to review The Last of Us just before The Last of Us Part 2. This is a game that I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. I didn't play it when it came out, however, but I did play it. I did play the remastered version when that came out, when I bought my PS4. And ever since then, this game has stuck with me just because of what it's conveying. The story is it speaks to the soul, is what it does. So let's get into my review for The Last of Us by starting with the story. So to start off my review, I just wanted to talk about the score, which is probably the biggest thing that this game has going for it. Every time I hear it, it makes me feel sort of lonely, which is perfect for the tone of the game, that what they're trying to convey in this story. The game itself has a way of making you feel alone and vulnerable, because in the first 15 to 30 minutes of the game, you see the main character's daughter die in his arms, and you also see multiple people go down, multiple characters die throughout the rest of the game. Like Tess, for example. Seeing Tess die was sad, but I didn't feel that much of a connection to this character, if I'm being honest. There just wasn't enough that I didn't know really anything about this character. Like, there may have been something going on between her and the main character Joel, but other than that, you don't really know anything about this character. You don't get to learn about her past, really, so that when she dies, you don't, or at least I didn't feel anything when she goes. There are, however, two other characters, two brothers, who I loved, just because the performances given for these characters was pretty well done. Two brothers who want to get out of enemy territory to meet up with and join the Fireflies, but can only get out with the help of Joel and Ellie. Yeah, so I just felt that those two characters, they had better characterization. They were, I don't know, written and performed better, as I said, and which is why when what happens to them happens, it's very surprising. So as mentioned earlier, Joel went through some shit, and since then has distanced himself off from the world and, really feeling anything, which is why when he first meets Ellie, he doesn't believe in the whole cure thing, and at one point nearly abandons her. But over time, he becomes softer to Ellie and lets her in and gives a shit, basically. Personally, I didn't find his character arc any less emotional or any less impactful than Ellie's, because this is really about him finding a way to live life again, right? And he finds a second chance at life through Ellie. This is, of course, displayed through the scene where he's running through the halls of the hospital with Ellie in his arms. I could not stop crying with that scene. And even now, it still makes me choke up. But Ellie does have a great arc, though, that's less of an arc and more of a slow descent into essentially what Joel was. At the beginning of the game, when we first meet her, she's witty, she's sarcastic, she has, she's funny. And I've often thought about this, that her witticism and her charm, I guess, was more than likely a defense mechanism for her, because she has been through shit too. You know what I mean? So it's not like she hasn't been through shit. It's just she may have developed this sarcasm, this witty charm to defend herself off from such emotion. But through the course of the game, you slowly see that her witticism and her sarcasm just fade away. Because when winter comes and when it leaves, we are introduced to a slightly different Ellie. She's not as vocal anymore. I don't know, it's just that winter chapter was such an important moment for her character that changes the course of who she is for the rest of this game into the next. And if you really think about it, the sad poetry of it is that where Ellie started and then finishes is where Joel started. Like at the beginning of the game, she won't stop talking. She wants to talk. She wants to, talk to Joel, and Joel really doesn't want to talk to her. And by the end of the game, it's the complete opposite. Joel wants to talk to her because he's found his second chance, and Ellie really doesn't want to because of the shit she's been through. Anyway, now we get to the thing that I've been wanting to talk about considering this game, being the BTS, behind the scenes, for those who don't know what that means. For this game, I learned through the behind the scenes that they actually weren't going to include zombies. It was just going to be some plague that wiped out half of, most of humanity, really, and that this young girl, Ellie, was the cure for it, so that they wouldn't have to deal with it anymore. But because it was a game, they eventually included the idea of zombies, which really doesn't change, for the way I see it, doesn't change the story and its meaning in any significant way. Because if you really think about it, when they were coming up with this idea, what they were trying to, the story that they were trying to tell was about a man who has gone through loss. He's lonely and finds a way to grow past that and finds a second chance. That's really what the game is about. It's about loss and loneliness, making this game to have one of the best stories ever, as far as I'm concerned. So now let's move on to the gameplay. I know it's probably been said before, but I really love how during gameplay, when you're trying to scavenge for supplies and shit like that, sometimes you hear Ellie just talk about stuff, you hear her do some weird things, like at one point in the game when she tries to whistle and all you hear behind you is this. Eventually she does learn how to whistle, but it was very funny, and also there's other moments when, okay, this is something that I did just to test the game. I would occasionally just stand there, right, just to see what would happen. And something did happen. Ellie would mock you and be like, are we just gonna stand here or are we gonna do something? That's her witticism and sarcasm that I was talking about considering the story, but it's a big factor in the gameplay as well. And I think it adds a lot to it. So usually when I play games, I play it on easy. Whether I'm playing it for the first time or I'm playing it or I'm replaying it. And the reason why I do this is because I just don't like having to repeat myself over and over and over again. I don't like having to do the same shit over and over and over again just to get through the game, just to get to the next cutscene. I play games for the story for the most part, right? That's my reason. You can call me a little bitch if you want. I know the gaming community has some views on players who play games on easy, but I don't give a shit. Anyway, for this review, I tried playing it on normal just to see how it would be, and that was a fucking mistake. There's this one point in the game where, okay, if you played the game you should know, Tess and Ellie stay up on the top level and you have to go down to this bottom level to take out a bunch of zombies that are in our way. We have to go around them, right? It's inside a destroyed building, right? And I tried playing it on normal, and I died about 3 or 4 times, and I was doing it the exact same way as I would have if it were on easy, doing it the exact same way, okay? And somehow I would always get caught. Yet when I played it on easy, I wouldn't get caught, even if I was doing it the exact same way. There's also more to this story. When I was playing it on normal, when I would get caught, the clicker that is around the area would come up to me and fucking bite my neck, right? And I tried to shiv it, but the button to press shiv wouldn't pop up. The minute I changed it to easy, it popped up. And you know what? I fucking shivved the fucking thing. That makes no sense to me. How does it not allow me to do that on normal when I'm doing it the exact same way, and yet when I do it on easy, it does? I'll tell you what I think. I think games sometimes are fucking rigged just to piss you off, which is why I don't like playing games on normal or even hard for the first time. And there are some games where I actually do play on hard because I played it so many damn times. The biggest example of this would be Batman Arkham Knight. I've played that game so many times. I played it like a couple months ago or whatever. I'm still playing it to this day. I don't know why. I just love playing the game. And I play that on hard. And it's easy to me because I've been playing it. I've played it so many freaking times that I can do that. But if it's a game that I haven't played or haven't played that often, I need to play it on easy. That's just how I am, okay? Deal with it. On a more positive note, there is this little thing that the game does that I remembered when I went back to play this game for this review, and it's that your torch on your shoulder dims. Whenever it dims, you have to shake your controller to turn it back on. I don't know why I like that. It's just a nice detail. It's just a fun detail to have. And it, in some ways, can add some tension, especially if you're in a dark area and you can't see anything and there are clickers all around you. Also, I have to talk about the bow and arrow. That shit is fucking amazing. I love the bow and arrow, and I think because it's there's a bit of a learning curve to it. I don't know, and it's not as easy as using a rifle, really. But when you get it down, you feel like a badass. You have failed this city, motherfucker! So that is my review for The Last of Us. I am excited for The Last of Us Part 2. I will see you in that review.